Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How are you doing? It's Russ here from Porky's Corner, biggest gob in the sport. Let me just turn this heat off to make a noise. How you doing, Julian?
I'm all right, mate. How's yourself?
I'm all right, mate. What are you on with? Still on holiday?
Well, yes, I'm in a hotel room, so I'm hoping that the Wi-Fi is not going to be too bad, but it's been pretty poor so far this holiday, pal.
Don't worry about it. Stuff happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're at other end of the world, aren't you? Near African coast, isn't it?
Yeah, I've just had a lady from the room come in. I'm like, no, I ain't got I didn't have the do not disturb sign on the door. I'm like thinking, just missed that. If she'd have come in 10 minutes later, mate, you'd have all seen the Spanish maid.
That'll go down well with your lass.
Yeah, she'd think it'd be yeah, you all say nothing.
A brass should think it won't she straight away.
Yeah. She's very trusting, my lady.
Good. What did you think to it last night?
Well, first claim I'm going to make is obviously I was in a bar, so all the fights up until the main event they didn't have the audio on, they had the music on and the disco, whatever. So you can either count it as a blessing that I didn't get to hear the commentary, or not a blessing because obviously you might ask me certain things about what do you think what he said or she said, and I didn't hear a lot of that stuff. So I use my eyes. Sometimes I prefer to turn the commentary off anyway for boxing. Yeah. I mean, if you want to, I didn't see the Johnny Fisher fight. I don't know if you want to work. I don't know if you want to work your way up.
I saw that. Yeah. First three were nothing fights, so we'll miss them. And then we come to Campbell, Hands of Foam Hatton. 13-0.
Well, the thing is with Campbell Hatton, I've said this before, and I'll try and be polite because he's a nice kid. He's doing a very brave sport. He's got some massive footsteps to fill, but you put yourself on the big shows, you get the big contract with Sky and Matchroom, then you're gonna get critiqued as such by the likes of you and me. If you want to go on the small hall shows and learn your trade over the next 3 or 4 years, we won't criticize you, we won't comment on you, but I'll always be objective. I've only seen the highlights. I've watched the highlights this morning because that was another fight I'd just missed. So when I saw the highlights, I saw Campbell Hatton through about 30, 40 jabs. Fast jabs, decent power, fast jabs. Not one of them landed. Now, he has a real issue with ring IQ and space. I think that's part of the reason his Uncle Matthew has to literally shout all the way through the fight. Every second of every round, he has to give him instructions. So I don't think Campbell Hatton has a natural ring IQ. And people will say that comes with experience. Megan, you're talking rubbish. It's called ring craft. Look, some kids get in a ring and they just seem to have it so much quicker than others. Now, Campbell Hatton had 30-odd amateur fights. Now, that's not insignificant. We can't keep calling him a novice. 30-odd amateur fights, 13 pro fights, 22-year-old. There are fighters out there who've had way less and done way more at this stage of the career. Yeah. So his spatial awareness is really poor. He's getting a little bit quicker, a little bit fitter, a little bit stronger, as you'd expect. Okay, those are the positives. The negatives are is like I say, spatial awareness is poor. Every single shot he throws, he arcs the shots. He wings a right hand in. His left hook's I'd love to spend 3 months with him. His left hook's way too long. He doesn't. It's not a snappy short left hook. Snaps it from the hip. Double steps in to get the range. His right hand is just thrown wild from behind the back seat of the arena. He's wide open for absolutely everything, and he seems to, because he's got a lack of power and a lack of ring IQ, that what that equals is one thing: he works all the time. He's always punch. And how many times have you heard me say a real quality fighter can just take his time for the first 2 rounds? I've got this in control, touch you with a jab, little step off, touch you with another jab, little counter, and they look so comfortable just blocking, slipping, and taking the time. But the fact that he's having to work non-stop like a workhorse is because he hasn't got that natural flow. He hasn't done the natural ring IQ, and he hasn't really got any power as such. I think his schooling's quite bad. I'm not being critical of Matthew Hatton, who I like, but if he's his coach, then I have to be objective about that. His technique is very poor, and I think the one thing that is a clue for me, I said to you on the last video we did, there's clearly issues with the durability. I've no doubt about that. And the fact is, you can hear the panic in Matthew Hatton's voice whenever he gets
when he gets it.
shot,
When he gets it, yeah.
He goes, back to your boxing, back to your boxing. And I've had fighters who have got hit, and I think it's boxing you get hit, tell them after the end of the round, don't get too sloppy. Get away from the ropes, get away from the ropes. And he's screaming the basic principles of boxing.
They're putting fear into a kid, so he's seen something in the gym. And
yeah,
I think, and they're frightened when he gets it on. No, I've spotted that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, just get away, go on now, back on your boxing. And then they give him encouragement saying, beautiful, beautiful, even when he's not landing punches. And it's like they're having to baby him through a fight. And because he's 22, you're being harsh. If you look at the kid he's just beat, nothing against Ansel, he'd no power. He was coming off, he'd just been knocked out in the first round. He was coming off 2 defeats. So he's at a certain level. Hatton, I get it, he shouldn't be fighting like elite kids at this stage, but at some point, he's going to have to just fight someone with a little bit more power, who's a little bit better, and I really fear for him. I really fear for him, and he might get an English title if it's the right opponent, a Jimmy First or something like that, who's got little power, doesn't have a great pace, and is generally an easy-ish fight. He might get an English title, but if he gets mandated for an English title against some kid who's a good kid, he'll absolutely get bamboozled.
Would he be better off taking a step back from big shows and going and learning his craft for a year, taking a year out? Because he's still a young man, isn't he?
I'd say yes, but I'll also say, and I have to. My partner actually said this, and she's not a boxing person, but she watches boxing. She's been around. She's been in the gym and she's been to the fights. So if I give you an example, one of the lads I used to train called Ismail Khan, 80-odd amateur fights, 3-time national champion. He was a good kid. And my partner said about Campbell Hatton, and it wasn't being harsh. It was just she'd watched about his first 5 fights, and she watched a fight with me. And this is someone who doesn't really know boxing. And she says, there doesn't look to be much indication of talent, does there? And I thought that was quite a
manufactured.
Yeah, it's just get stronger, fitter. They'll get the best of everything, the best of nutrition, advice, absolutely everything. But what I want to see is some textbook moves from Campbell Hatton. I want to see a little bit of his own initiative during the rounds. Ease off. I'll tell you what Mark Bateson used to do in his gym. Mark was. I used to go to Mark Bateson's in Bermtoft quite a bit with various fighters. And Mark Bateson had a good little trick that he used to do. He'd get them sparring. And after a couple of rounds, we'd be coaching them and talking them through. And he'd come over and he'd say, Jules, let's just walk away. Let's have a coffee. Leave them to it. And I'd be like, oh, okay, all right, Mikey, go. Let them think for themselves. They're going to have to learn to think for themselves. And I thought that was a good little, because you always learn of other coaches, so it was a good little coaching ploy to just say, leave them alone, give them a little sip of water in between rounds, but let's just walk off, let's have a chat and leave them alone, he says, because there'll be times when they can't hear you, times when they're in a firefight, when they're dazed, they have to be able to think for themselves. And I think Campbell Hatton needs to be able to think for himself in the ring. Probably beyond anything I've seen. It was like an early version of Frank Bruno with Terry Lawless. Remember how the mollycoddled
Bambi on
Big
ice.
Frank.
Bambi on ice,
and we saw what happened when they let him off the lead with Bone Crusher, didn't we?
Well, who is it got to him first? Jumbo Cummins, didn't it? Really?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, any other referee could have stopped that right on the bell, couldn't they? Because he was like Dempsey McKean last night, wasn't he? He was unconscious on his feet. So Campbell Hatton, good kid, limited future. not doing the right things, but they know it. They know so much more than we do. So there's a reason he's being mollycoddled, Russell, and I think we both know what that is.
So basically, what are they going to do? Get the cocks out from Penthouse and lag on all of us? Is that what they're going to do now and milk him to 25-0? Because I'm not going to let this one go. If they're going to do that, I'll be on them. Is that what you think you're going to do to us boxing fans? Lag on us, eh?
But this is
We're not
this
having
is the
it.
problem, isn't it? This is the problem, mate. What we're saying. If you want to do it on the small all shows, you get no issue with us. But when you are having documentaries made about you,
Yeah.
you've got a mini entourage. You're getting. I mean, the one thing that did stick in me watching the highlights was when Hatton landed. He'd land a right hand or he'd land something. Darren Barker was wetting his pants.
What were he saying? Like his dad, he's like his dad.
Oh, big right hand. I was like, it's an 8-round undercard fight. He's landed a couple of right hands against a limited opponent he's supposed to beat. And Darren Barker was wetting his pants.
Well, he's there to do that, isn't he? Because it's his team Matchroom and he's married into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll park him up then because he's shite and I ain't putting up with any of this big hype. All they're doing is just milking fans. I don't want to see it. It's 13-0 now. At least get him in for an area belt.
Yeah.
Just after Hands of Foam, Jesus. Ergovic, Dempsey McKean, what a stinker, stinkinators. What?
It was horrible. I mean, first of all, I said McKean last week when did a bit of a mini preview. Says McKean he really not great. He can't fight. And Hergovic, what's happened with him? Has he just? I mean, how old is he? He's no spring
31,
chicken, is he?
31, isn't it, Ergovic? I think 31.
It just look. I don't know. I know he had a long amateur career, and I just wonder some fighters don't really transition over. I mean,
Olympic bronze, wasn't he?
Yeah, great pedigree, but he just looks lethargic and slow, and all he's got is a right hand and then a right hand and left hook, and it was poor level, low level fighters. But do you know one thing I always, I'm going to talk about this all the time, right? We've got these teams now. I know the heavyweights, I know the big lads. We've got these S&C strength conditioners. We've got all these guys. But these guys can't breathe after 3 rounds. Where's the fitness? Where's the speedy combinations from heavyweights now? Those what we call the shoe shine combinations. Where's the shoe shine combinations from heavyweights now? It's one punch at a time. It's like watching old people eat, watching heavyweights. Honestly, it's horrendous.
That Ergovic, this is what I think they're going to do with him. They've got him into position, haven't they, now? Right? He's in position for a mandatory, isn't it? Right. They're going to just park him up and wait for the step aside dough now because they can't put him near anybody now unless it's his world title shot because he's going to get bladders, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just not going to cut it, is he? It's quite clear now.
No. And that McKean's no good either, big stiff. He's not going to do no. Dave
Allen.
Awful. Dave Allen would flop him. That Dave Allen does it.
He's awful.
Yeah, so that's them parked up. That brings us to Derek Chisora, 14 a few weeks against Washington. He's pushing 42. Combined age, 80 odd. What were all that about? Chief support? Do me a favour.
I mean, just before we move on to that one, I mean, obviously it's in relation to that fight, but how many times are we going to see international contests and we're going to have British referees and British judges all the way through the card? How can that be allowed? I just saw it. I saw it come up on screen. It's always the same. It's the Foster, Phil Edwards, and and I'm like, how is that fair? Do you know something? If that was an English fighter, a British fighter abroad, and there were 3 American judges, an American referee, we'd be jumping up and down. We wouldn't take it. And it's like, it's just the Matchroom. It's scheming, isn't it? Just to get the. I mean, I thought Chisora won, by the way. We'll move on to it, but I thought it's just the Matchroom's. It's security. Yeah, it's like it's added security
for the result. A bit like we'll come to that in a bit. A bit like one at Judges from Watford in the Joshua fight, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Just have his mum and his mates judging and scoring. Let's just do it like that. I thought Chisora. I thought it was exactly how it. If you'd have said to me, write the script, I'd have said Chisora just swinging, Washington trying to find space. When he does find space and manage to land something, Chisora's legs look really uneasy and creaky, and there was something ploddy about Chisora, the way he was plodding in. I know he's always had that kind of style, but really his coordination and his equilibrium, his dexterity just doesn't look right. It looks like that of a guy who's 39 but's probably lived a life of someone who's 59, who's had floggings in the ring, floggings in the gym. And I thought Chisora won. I've not heard anything about the scorecards. I just saw it without any sound. I thought Chisora won on work rate, but I thought Washington, had he been 2-3 years younger, would have timed it a lot more, and he probably would have wiped Chisora out, to be honest. We know he's a knockout waiting to happen, don't we?
Derek Chisora will be punching for pay till he's 50. He'll be doing misfits, MMA, the lot. Can't help themselves, but it's embarrassing. He's a bully anyway. I don't like him. Right, moving on to Big Meech against Robert Hilarious, the Nordic Daydream. What do you think to that?
Well, like I said, when we did the little video a couple of days ago, I said he's perfectly scripted, because what you're going to get is a highlight reel KO. But what we didn't expect, and what I didn't expect, was just that first 6 rounds of, it's the hesitance, it's the reluctance, it's the.
Yeah.
I mean, did he get his nose? I've not seen, like I said, I've not seen or read, but
his face looked right. His face looked right, mess Joshua's face after, didn't it?
Yeah, I noticed after the 2nd or 3rd round, he had like little welts under both eyes and a bit of blackening. And then I think it was after the 4th, he pushed the hand away from his coach when he wiped his nose, as though it was painful. So I thought, I wonder if the nose has gone again.
That's a natural reaction, isn't it? To a trainer,
yeah,
when you push off, they'll get off, don't they, if you hurt him, the face.
So my question is, we know Helenius is 39, he's not great. We know him, we know his pedigree. But my question is, if you've complained about Rob McCracken not teaching defence, where was your defence last night? I saw jab. Every time Helenius bothered to throw a reasonable jab straight through the guard, he threw a couple of screw jabs, a couple of swiping hooks, a couple of slam jabs, and there's no head movement, there's no parrying, there's no step-offs, there's no shoulder dip. Where's the defence that Garcia and now Derek James, you've spent all this time in American gyms, where's your defence?
No. You know,
are you gonna sack Derek James now?
Deontay Wilder would have lit him up last night, wouldn't he?
Yeah, and you know me, I'm sitting on the fence with that, but not after last night. I just think, because you can't miss Joshua through the middle, and Deontay Wilder, whether he's 37, 38 or 58, he's always got that right hand right through the middle, and you'd worry about what would happen, wouldn't you, if Wilder detonated on AJ's chin.
What would Fury have done to him last night?
I was talking to my son last night, actually, and he was laughing. He's asleep now, but it was laughing was Joe. And I was calling stuff before it happens. I says, if he does this, da-da-da. And I said, look at AJ doing certain moves. And we were laughing because he's so predictable. So if I can predict it, just sat there in a bar watching what he's going to do, Tyson Fury he'd make him pay for every single thing he did. And it would be a savage beating. Fury could outbox him. He could ping him from either orthodox or southpaw stance. He could bully him. He could goad him.
Well, that's what I think. That's what I think he's going to do, Tyson. I think he'll put a show on and just prop him up and just dismantle him. I think that's what he'll do. I do honestly just put him to bed once and for all. Really play with him, bash him up, punch him upside down.
He'd annihilate him.
Joshua's saying he wants to be left alone and all this blah blah blah, but no, not when you've had the hype you've had for the last 11 years. I'm not having it. I'm not having the billboards in Times Square and in Trafalgar, in New York, Times Square in London, magazine covers, millions of pounds, private jet companies flying all over. You can't have all that and then say you want to be left alone. I'm not having it because somebody's been critical. Not having
And
it.
that's what we've just said about Campbell Hatton, isn't it? Is you listen, you're out there, you're the so-called one of the elite heavyweights. All right, you're not the champion, but you're one of the elite heavyweights. You're out there in big lights, okay? Everybody who's paying to watch you, whether it's on, live or whatever on the zone, people are paying to watch you, and people are in boxing have a right to an opinion. It's as simple as that. If you're that sensitive that you can't take people's opinion, then come away from the lights and just turn up on fight night and do the minimal amount of promotions that you need to do and switch your phone off. But this is where you're at, okay? And when you've got the likes of the two things that stand in my mind with what Tony Bellew said on a DAZN show a couple of years ago, is the best. This was before the first Usyk fight. Is the best physical heavyweight I've seen since a prime Mike Tyson. I remember Tony Bellew saying that. So he's better than Lennox, he's better than Klitschko, he's better than Holyfield and all those guys. So he said he's the best physical heavyweight I've seen since Mike Tyson. And also Eddie Hearn said the previous Usyk fight, if he beats Usyk, he has to go down as one of the all-time great heavyweights. That's what he said about Anthony Joshua. I remember this stuff. So if you're giving him that kind of hype, and then all of a sudden,
learning on job.
All of a sudden, for 6 rounds, you're against a 39-year-old guy. You got a broken nose, and you're puffing, and you're looking. There's a few little panic signs in there. We're going to criticize you, mate. We're going to judge you by where you place yourself. Simple as that.
Well, Tony's come out and said he's learning on job, but yeah, he's best. And then what did he say? He's an absolute devastating finisher, one of the best he's ever seen in the heavyweight division of the modern era. We're talking Robert Helenius. He's got 3 stoppages in his last 9. Helenius, Pulev, and Povetkin going back to the 3 stoppages. All old men pushing 40 with miles on clock. They're his stoppages out the last 9. That's not a devastating puncher. That's a guy who can't. He might have a big punch, hitting a punch bag, all them things that they hang on, and you get a score for hitting it. He might have a good punch at that. But he don't mean to say that he can deliver the punch, does it, in that company? He's not doing that. He's not stopping people, is he? Only old men. He couldn't stop Andy Ruiz. He couldn't stop Usyk. There's 4 fights there. But there's no stoppage. Do you know what I mean? He's stopping you, Dominic.
I've always said the same thing.
Dominic Brazil, Eric Molina, Charlie Martin, Povetkin, Pulev, Helenius. Can stop them guys, Dylan Whites. They're like C-class guys, aren't they? Povetkin weren't a world champion regular. Pulev and Helenius, not world champions. Brazil, Eric Molina, not world champions. These are C-class guys. Dylan White, C-class, not a world champion. You saw what Fury did to him. Who was he stopped to? Joseph Parker. Shite. He couldn't do no with him. He couldn't get him out there. Could he? That was the first one he didn't stop. That's when the alarm bells started ringing about this devastating puncher. Do you remember? Because everybody kept lumping on, didn't they? Couldn't stop him. And then when he didn't stop Parker, people in industry were saying, ooh, you know what I mean? You can't stop Joseph Parker. What's all that about? Couldn't even drop him.
It's the hype. It's like you say, it's the guys he's just beating. I read a quote this morning. It's the only thing I saw when Joshua said, I think Helenius can really do something. It's like now building up this guy who's just beat into this Iceman killer, and it's just like, as you just said, you've just gone through the names, right? We know exactly where he's at. He's 34 in October, so let's just stop talking about him as a working pro. Let's stop talking about him being this devastating puncher. He's heavy-handed, and if the guy's on the end of the shot, he's going to hurt him. Of course he is. He's a powerful man. He delivers a shot reasonably well, but just the things that I saw, I was saying to my lad last night, back to Joshua's sort of ability. He's been watching loads of Holyfield, as Joshua said. I've been watching loads of Evander Holyfield, and I thought, well, you wouldn't think so to watch what you have. You not been watching it and trying it and watching it and learning it? And there was only one time in the entire 7 rounds he hooked off the jab. Now that was Evander Holyfield classic trademark move, wasn't it? And I said to Joe, I says, if he hooks off the jab, it'd be such a good move to do against this kid because of the movement of Helenius. And he once hooked off the jab in 7 rounds. Now, where's the variety? Jab, 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 right hand, jab, 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 feint, jab, right hand. It's just like, it's the same thing. So I'm always onto the coaching. That's my thing. Where's the coaching influence at the moment?
Well, his head must be spinning with all this advice from all these people. He's had McCracken, he's had that ex-amateur coach spoken from Finchley or whatever. He's had the Angel Hernandez, that Joby Clayton, Robert Garcia, Derek James. The list is endless. He was asking Clifton Mitchell for advice in one fight or the month, wasn't he? Or maybe like a couple of years back, when he went into the ring. What would you do? What's going on here? Is he having a mental breakdown, or does he just not want to be there? Or are they just there to see what they can wring out of it? Because he's a shell of a man, isn't he? Dave Allen said that's not the AJ of old. But what was the AJ of old? Because he wasn't stopping anybody any good, was he? Let's have it.
And that's exactly it. You just hit upon a point when I want to see this killer return, right?
What killer? What fucking killer?
Yeah, knocking out road
Bombs.
sweepers. Yeah.
Gary Cornish.
Yeah.
Kevin Johnson.
Yeah, some of the guys who were knocking out, they were good at a certain level, at a very low domestic level. But when you're knocking these guys out, that doesn't make you a killer. That just means you can't miss them, so you can let your hands go because nothing's coming back.
He never were a killer. He never were a killer, Julian. They just built it up in everybody's heads. He weren't this killer. Who's he knocked out? Who's any good? Vladimir. Come on, he was 42 nearly. 68 fighters, something. We've been sold a dud. Oh, this is better than Ali. We had this way behind from that lot, didn't we? Look, they've been found out and they're trying to wring what they can out of it. And it's embarrassing. Let me tell you this. They're not going to go near Wilder. They're going to get another fight like what they've just had yesterday before Christmas. And then they might talk about Wilder next summer, what they're on about. And then that'll be 7 years since he beat Vladimir that we've been going on about this Wilder fight and Fury. They're further away now than any of them fights. Further away. They just want to pick up crumbs while paying lip service to fans and stood front penthouse lagging on us. Oh, AJ. It's a load of shite.
There's a lot of people need pain, isn't there? There's all those people in that ring. I'm watching them all around AJ, and there's all those people, his family and extended family and friends, and all those ringside tickets. A lot of people need AJ to keep boxing, no matter how much money he's got. There's a lot of leeches clinging on to him.
It's and people trying to cling on. There's people trying to cling on to him. Some of the interviews I've watched this morning, try to get up early. You watched them all. Big Mouth, the Gad. Oh, the Gad's even using my one-liners now, isn't it? The Gad. They can't get their own one-liners, can they? There's the Gad, Big Mouth, and all the rest of them. They're all there, and it's an utter poo piece, and they don't say what they really should be saying. These are supposed to be boxing people. These are boxing people. Why is it media people are now turning into promoters of the show? Why not just do your job in media? They're turning into promoters. And they're doing the job for Eddie Hills and Warren and all these people. Just stick to being media, not promoters.
But this is the thing. The media now are interviewing the media. That's how much of a celebrity stage we've got. We've got journalists interviewing journalists.
We've got Coogan interviewing the guy and Simon Jordan. They're the media. Get the boxing people into the boxers. It's about the boxers, not the trainers, not the media. Oh, Unbelievable. A lot of arse lickers there. Obviously, David A were there licking male arse, Saudi arse mainly. Bellew big in Saudi up. Big John Fury weren't there, but I've heard he's been big in Saudi up. Everybody's got an opinion about Saudi, haven't they? They all want to say nice things about these people because they're throwing a bit of dough about. What I want to know is, will John Fury go down in the fourth against Mike Tyson? Yes or no?
It is though that they kept saying, didn't they, that Prince Khalid was there last night, and the Saudis were there, and what is it, skills challenge people were there, and blah blah blah. And as you said, it's money, 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 money. Everybody's earning. Everyone, as I've said, the whole list of people rely on Joshua, the Gad, all these people, Spencer Oliver. They're relying on all these big fights to not happen, because if all these fights suddenly happen, and there's a drought for 5 years, they've nothing to talk about. So while they can still talk about Conor Benn, Eubank Jr., Conor Benn, Kell Brook, and Tyson Fury against, and they can still talk about this stuff for non-stop and do 10, 15 videos a day on TalkSport and IFL and Boxing Social and everything else, King Media. They can still talk about this knackers, this garbage, what's not going to happen or very rarely happens. It keeps them in a job, it keeps them getting views, it keeps them relevant, because the big worry is that if boxing really did go under, they might have to get proper jobs, a lot of them.
Well, I'm going to take you over a statistic here, right? From Monday last week up until this morning, how many interviews do you think Eddie Hills has done and Spotty Frank? Added up. If you count the press conference, as one each as well. How many do you think interviews that they've done? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and tonight they're at the IFL Live. So we can't count today's, but in the 6 days, how many do you think they've done? That's across the board or social media.
I'm probably going to be under now, but I bet they've done 50, haven't they?
No, keep going. Keep going.
75.
82. 82
Wow.
Between 82 interviews. So
I mean,
they've drowned it out everybody, haven't they? They've got their narrative out there. And like I said, the YouTubers, they're giving them bullets to fire. They'll give it, it's good. Load it up, go fire it. And you know what? Before you know where you are, it becomes ingrained in these utter goonies' minds. These casuals. It becomes ingrained in their minds. And they think it's real.
Which is what I said to you, Russell. Yesterday we had a little chat about the Conor Benn thing, as we do offline. Yeah. And the Daily Mail article, we know it's only by one specific writer, but it's now that Conor Benn has been cleared. They haven't been cleared. But as they keep saying, now he has been cleared. I just thought, what absolute shoddy journalism and a misrepresentation of the truth. The first line, now that Conor Benn has been cleared. But what happens is there's a lot of people out there, as you just said, they read that and going, oh, he's been cleared as Conor Benn, hasn't he? No, I don't think he has. No, he has.
Not been cleared at all.
What we're hearing also is that the UCAD are going to protest that decision, aren't they?
I'm bored.
Yeah. So why? He's a clean athlete. Why would UCAD and the British Boxing Board of Control then challenge or appeal that decision if he's a clean athlete?
I don't know, mate. It's who done it, isn't it? It's
because they know he's dirty. He's dirty, mate. They know he's dirty.
Well, my bet came in. 20 quid got me £30.80, including me 20 back. So I made £10.80.
Are you suggesting that you knew all the home fighters were going to win last night?
Well, I always have that one anyway, because I used to have them at Dennis's shows. One always used to knock me up at Dennis's, but I've had more out of Eddie's shows, recently, and I used to put a lot more than that on it back in the day, as you know. But
Dennis's would always be a risk, because he always had a couple of white collar kids on there, the home fighters who couldn't fight.
One did cost me 2,800 quid. The Michael Gomez loss a few years ago on a Dennis show. Oh, that broke me out, that one. But I've had a few. One fight, Bellew cost me about 12 grand in 4 bets, Tony Bellew. I'm not saying that's because that's why I don't like him. I don't like him because he chats a load of shit. But he the Cleverly one. He done cleverly, didn't he? You know, in the rematch.
The Rima second
I
fight,
had him
yeah.
to do Usyk because Johnny Nelson convinced me that he was technically better. There were
Really?
a couple of other ones than that. Yeah, so sometimes you should bet with your head and not your heart, shouldn't you? But actually, it came in last night, but I didn't put no on it. I did it for a bit of fun, so there's no pressure on, is there?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But all in all, an utter poofies, and it'll be interesting to see. Well, it'll be Monday when I see it, but tomorrow I look forward to watching Asylum lads. I like the Belly Up Week on a Monday that they put out, but they'll rinse that. They will rinse that to death last night. Like he was stuck in glue with them feet, Big Meech. But it's all the shenanigans around it. People doing interviews, going devastating puncher, and he's better than Ali, and everybody getting carried away. It's Robert Helenius. The guy's pushing 40 and he can't fight for toffee. Can't box eggs.
No, I was watching last night, and like I said to my lad, the three main fights, the three heavyweight fights, said, where's the skill level now in heavyweight boxing?
Ain't none.
Genuinely, where's the guys who can fight inside? Where's explosive work? Remember, I was never a big Mike Tyson fan, but remember how explosive Tyson could be, you know, mid-range and let those combinations go.
Yeah.
And even if you go back to the fighters who weren't as celebrated, like a Mike Dokes, explosive hands, you know, punching combinations. That was my kind of the one thing I took away from last night, which I know anyway, I get frustrated at, but where's combination punching now in heavyweight boxing? Who can throw combination? I want to say combinations for anybody jumps in. I'm not talking about two bloody punches together. I'm talking about a 3, 4, and a 5. You know, a right hand, left hook, right uppercut, a left hook to the body, left hook to the head, right hand over the top. Where's the shoe shine? Rapid fire, explosive combinations of heavyweight boxing now. We're just down to one single punch at a time.
Or a straight. Joshua didn't even have a 1-2, did he, last night? Not even a straight 1-2, did he?
No, there was no bounce. There was no 1-2. It was jab, jab, pause, 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 right hand. It's single punching. And where's the art of combination punching? It's just such something, you know, I've always, even, you know, fighters like, I know these guys were 13 and a half, 14 stone, but Rocky Marciano used to throw those solid, heavy combinations. Sonny Liston threw them. And Holyfield was beautiful combination puncher, wasn't he? Michael Moorer could really let those rapid fire combinations go when he fought Burt Cooper. They were both doing those 3s and 4s. And I'm just watching single punch boxing now at this heavyweight boxing. And I'm just like, this is crap. Honestly, this is just crap.
Yeah.
Cancel the heavyweight division for me, mate. I ain't bothered. You can cancel it.
Well, the Fury and Usyk are way above the rest. Way above
a
lot of them.
There's an ocean between those two now and everybody else, isn't there?
Oh my God! It's Atlantic Ocean for ring IQ, because they both got 7 ways how they can beat you. They're the complete fighters, aren't they? Usyk and Fury, different sizes, but they've got everything to the game. Whereas the others, you know, at the races. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure having you on. I hope you enjoy the rest of your holiday, and you, Kelsey
nice
and Joe, my best.
Thank you, Russell. Cheers, pal. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.